Intermittent fasting is becoming more and more popular, and there's a lot of information out there on the topic. But what I intend to do today is simplify all of this information for you into one easy to follow guide. And what I would really like for you to get out of this video would be the principles behind why intermittent fasting works so you can apply it to your diet in a flexible way. So what is intermittent fasting? It's a way of structuring your eating plan in which you spend a portion of time not eating anything at all or eating very little, and then that's followed by a portion of time in which you can eat quite a bit more than usual. There are a bunch of popular ways to set up your feeding and fasting windows. For example, the lean gains, otherwise known as the 16-8 method, is one of the most popular approaches. Here you would spend 16 hours of the day fasting, and then you would spend the other 8 hours of the day as your feeding window. In this method, it's usually popular to just skip breakfast and curb your appetite with some coffee and sparkling water. Then there's another one called the warrior diet. Here it's recommended to have an 18 to 20 hour fast and then a 4 to 6 hour feeding period. Another method is the alternate day fast. Here you would fast for one day and then eat more of what you wanted to eat the next day. The last one that I want to mention in this video is the 5-2 diet, which is a form of intermittent fasting in which you spend 2 days at a very low deficit, like under 25% of maintenance, and then 5 days of eating normally. Now the crazy thing is that even though these methods are pretty much very different from each other, they can all work. So what does this tell us about intermittent fasting? Does this tell us that we can eat whatever we want during our feeding windows and still burn fat just because we fasted? Not exactly. The reason why all of these different intermittent fasting plans work is because by having a period of time in which you don't allow yourself to eat very many calories, you're likely creating a calorie deficit. In case you don't know what that means, a caloric deficit is when you take in less calories than your body needs to maintain its daily functions. This lack of energy causes your body to pull energy from your fat stores to make up for what it's not getting from your diet. It's literally that simple. Combine this with the fact that when you eat all of your food in 1 to 2 meals, you can only eat so much before you start to feel full, and that will create even better conditions for an overall calorie deficit. Now the reason why this doesn't mean that you could eat whatever you want to whatever excess you want to eat it in is because if you eat so much that you take away that caloric deficit, then you won't lose weight. In fact, if during your feeding period you eat so much that you put yourself into a state of a caloric surplus, then you may even put on fat on an intermittent fasting plan. This is the thing that is oftentimes misunderstood and neglected by many people that start an intermittent fasting protocol. What intermittent fasting does do for you is by limiting your eating only to a smaller period of the day, you save calories and have more room for more of those calories to be consumed at once. If, for example, you're only eating 2 meals in the day, you're going to be able to eat a lot more calories during those 2 meals, which gives you guys more room to eat higher calorie foods like junk food, for example. Pretty much a good way to sum up most intermittent fasting protocols is to eat larger meals less frequently. Now that's not taking anything away from intermittent fasting and its effectiveness. I just want you guys to understand the bottom line behind why they work. Because if you can understand that, then you don't need to be bound to any kind of one diet, not even intermittent fasting. Your diet can be more adaptive based on your life, and it could work for you rather than something that you have to obsess over. The whole point of intermittent fasting is for us to see that obsessing over meal frequency and losing muscle mass and about our diet in general is unnecessary. However, you see a lot of people doing intermittent fasting, obsessing over exactly how long their feeding or their fasting period is, as if starting their feeding period a couple minutes early will somehow throw off their results. These people that obsess like this clearly don't understand the underlying principle of why the diet works. And that's because it creates an overall calorie deficit. If you add an extra 30 minutes to your 8-hour feeding window, it doesn't matter at all as long as you still create that caloric deficit. To ensure you create that calorie deficit, it's a good idea to track your calories at least until you understand how much of a caloric impact your food choices are having. To lose weight and burn fat at a fast and safe pace, we want to reduce our calories by 20 to 25% for maintenance. I'll include a link in the description for a maintenance calculator you could use to find out your daily caloric maintenance levels. Now, once you subtract 20 to 25% from maintenance, you'll have the amount of calories that it should take for you to burn fat. What intermittent fasting teaches us is that we could spread those calories throughout the day however it is that we want. We can also spread those calories throughout the week in a flexible way. You don't have to stick to any one approach. You could do a 24-hour fast today, a full day refeed tomorrow, a 17-hour fast the next day, followed by a 9-hour feeding period. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you hit your deficit target overall for the day or the week or the month. These different protocols like the Warrior Diet and the Lean Gains Diet and the 5-2 Diet are just there to help. They're not supposed to be taken as strict rules. Okay, with that said, I want to give you a couple basic examples of how you can spread your deficit calories across your intermittent fasting plan. Remember, these are just common examples, not rules, and you could divide your calories however you want. The first example is of a pretty balanced 3 meals a day split. Here we would have our first meal sometime between 12 and 2 p.m., then another meal between 4 and 6, and then the last meal between 8 and 9. A balanced split for 3 meals a day would be a 30-30-40 split, in which one of your meals of your choice would have 40% of your daily allotted calories. You can divide these 3 meals in whatever percentages you want. Obviously, within the limitation that you can't go above 100% total. Another example would be to only have 2 meals a day, one between 12 and 2 and one between 6 and 9. And again, you could split up your calories however you want. For example, if you want a really big dinner, you can have 30% of your calories in meal 1 and save the other 70% for meal 2. The last example is very simple. Just have 100% of your calories in one meal anytime in the day. I hope you see that you could really structure this however you want as long as you understand the reason why this works. When you understand that it's all about the overall calorie deficit, you can even use intermittent fasting on and off in your plan to counterbalance cheat days. For example, if you have a really bad cheat day where you have a really high amount of calories, you can balance that out over the next couple days, or maybe you just fast for a whole day and then go back to a more regular eating plan the following day. So that's it, guys. I really hope this video has helped you guys out. Remember, don't be a slave to your diet plan. Your diet plan should serve you. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave it a big thumbs up and comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more tips and tricks just like this one. I'll see you guys next time.